It's time, people. And when I say it's time, I mean it was supposed to be like a month ago, but we're getting to my top 10 worst and then best anime now. Why? Mostly just because I love doing this video every year. I love getting to break out of my usual card game talk to be able to talk about some other things in the world of anime. And we're going to start off with the stuff I didn't like that I watched this year. Now, I should preference this by saying I spent most of the year trying to watch all of JoJo and then all of Ace of Diamond. So a lot of my anime watching time got taken to those shows. So I actually missed a lot of the really bad anime this year because when it came to trying to watch that or spend my precious time on a good show, I elected to go with the good show. However, there are some things on this list that I genuinely did despise. But before we get to them, I do want to preference the first, 6 things on this list are not necessarily things I hated, but I do want to point out flaws that everyone else might be ignoring with them, or just things that have flown under the radar. So yeah, without further ado, we will start off with the first category in this list, and that is the general disappointments. These are the things, like I said, I didn't hate or even really dislike, but they had one big problem that kept me from truly getting into them. First up at number 10 is Babylon. We just talked about this anime, so we all know my thoughts. I won't get too into it here, but just to put it in simply, I think this anime has some good direction, great ideas, and I think overall is executed well. I just feel it lacks any real emotion, which, considering its subject matter, I think is pretty damn important. Coming in at number 9, we have Assassin's Pride. This was everyone's love to hate show of the, I think it was summer season, maybe fall. But a lot of people thought this was trash, but loved it. I thought it actually had some fairly good redeeming features to it, but that doesn't save it from overall being really fucking stupid and earning its spot on this list. Number 8, we have something that's gonna piss probably a lot of people off. Fire Force. I think this would have been a great show 20 years ago. Seriously, this to me was an anime that kind of felt very dated from the minute episode 1 hit. A lot of it was generic, a lot of it was trope heavy, a lot of it was tropes that kind of have been long gone. A lot of people pointed out the fan service as a big problem, and even though, yeah, it kind of is, I think there's so many other poorly done cliches in this that don't try to do them in a new way. At least Assassin's Pride tried to make its stupid plot seem somewhat interesting and unique. This didn't even bother. This just tried to use the pretty animation to save it. And though, yes, the fight scenes are pretty, because all the time, effort, and money goes into those, the rest of the time, the anime looks a tad flat, as it's just a generic steampunk setting, and for that reason, I really couldn't love most of this show. Coming in at number 7, let's really piss some people off. We got Vinland Saga, an anime making most people's top 10 best list. To me, this is a show that really tried to bake its cake and eat it too. It wanted to be historically accurate. It wanted to follow the Viking British War of the 11th century. It wanted to follow that very accurately and hit all the beats and have that be the backdrop of the show. And while I appreciate that, I personally felt that it kind of came at the detriment of the show's actual plot. It's supposed to be this edgy, cool revenge story with some political thriller elements to it, and none of those come across right. Because the show has to drag its plot over the course of something ridiculous 10 years, it ends up resulting in a show to where you have a protagonist who is insanely uninteresting and just really fucking annoying. Any interesting character, i.e. Askeladd, who is the thing honestly keeping me going in the show, has to have a really slow, dragged out character arc because he needs to be in certain places, in certain real historical context, for a thing to actually happen. And also you just have a lot of other subplots that they want you to really care about, but they don't really bother coming up with a way to do them in a way that's interesting. And considering I know a little bit of where this manga goes, and it mostly just goes into early 2000s edgelordness, I'm not too excited for where it could potentially go if it gets a season. Okay, so now we move on to the These are the meh category. These are the 3 anime this year that I watched that I had very little reaction to. These shows are definitely worse than the last few, not as bad as the big ones, but these shows to me were just kind of like whatever, which in some ways it can make them worse than feeling bad. So yeah, so for number 6, we have Dumbbell Non Kilo Moteru, aka How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift. This was a kind of ecchi comedy about pretty girls working out, and it was just kind of eh. It was really all over the place. Like, it just kind of threw every joke against the wall and went with whatever stuck, and most of those jokes just didn't land for me. The humor style was too inconsistent. It was way too reliant on kind of reference humor and just stuff I really didn't care about. There were funny jokes throughout, and I think the characters were likable enough and they're hot enough, but I just don't think the anime was consistently funny or didn't make me laugh as much as it desperately wanted me to. Like, the best gag is this ridiculous muscle contest, which is mostly just funny for how surreal and bizarre it gets, not even for any of the actual jokes in it. And also, I saw some pictures of the manga. The girls are way hotter in the manga. So yeah, that's that. Number 5, Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. Why did I switch to doing this like a normal top 10 list? I don't know. So yeah, this will piss people off. Look, if you've been following me long enough, you know that I've always kind of been lukewarm on Attack on Titan, and my opinion of it has kind of gone down as it goes, but this to me was the epitome of low for this franchise. Nothing about this story arc worked. I still don't care about any character. I hate the big speeches. All this fucking anime is big speeches and giant facial expressions. And guess what? Both of them suck balls. Fuck you, Erwin. I hated you. So then, like, we get all the big revelations we wanted. They're all disappointing, and I think a lot of them are kind of in bad taste, I feel like. There's a very specific metaphor it's going for at the end that just pushes it into dumb, edgelord, I'm smart, worship me territory. And yeah, it was just not good. I don't like it. I'll watch season 4. We'll talk about it when it comes out. Don't worry. I'll see the franchise through to the end, but yeah, it's not good. Stop saying it's good, people. So then for number 4, we got The Rising of the Shield Hero. This anime started the year out with a bang in that it was controversial and got on people's nerves. I mostly found it boring. Yeah, this anime was honestly the most bored I was all year long. It's supposed to be about these 4 heroes coming to save a world from the raids or whatever the fuck they were called. And there's like 3 waves, and they're boring, and nothing exciting happens. And that's the whole anime. Nothing happens in it. You follow this insanely boring protagonist as he goes around doing like merchant business deals. And, like, just nothing ever fucking happens. And it tries to be like, oh, we're the isekai that's different. We're the isekai that goes against the tropes. No. If you follow it, it follows the tropes. It just claims it isn't. The only things making the show interesting was Raftalia, the raccoon girl, who I thought was compelling enough on her own, and Philo, the bird kid, who is just like in another show and really entertaining, and every time she's on screen, I would much rather watch her show than the one that's in front of me. So then number 3. These are the 3 things I really fucking hated this year. Coming in at number 3 is an adaptation I was really excited for, Bookie Pop and Others. Now, I've read a few of the Bookie Pop light novels, and even though I don't remember a ton about them, I actually remember really liking them. Unfortunately, I don't remember the light novels being like this anime at all. This is a prime example of just like why some things shouldn't be adapted. This anime tries to have this very spooky, psychological, creepy tone to it that is very good when achieved in a book. However, this anime doesn't really know how to do it, so it just tries to be all over the place with kind of a out-of-order style storytelling. It tries to have compelling, interesting characters, but they're mostly just flat and uninteresting. Boogie Pop, who's supposed to be this really interesting, mysterious figure, is really boring and not fun to watch in this. The animation is not particularly good, especially by Madhouse standards, and overall I just found that this anime was just lacking at everything. It missed the mark on almost every level. I think a lot of it is the director. This was directed by the guy who directed One Punch Man. It's actually the reason season 2 took forever and he didn't come back, because this was a passion project. And I feel so sorry saying this, but I think he was just the wrong choice. He doesn't seem to understand how to do this sort of psychological horror type feel, and it shows as you sit through every boring, uninteresting episode of an adaptation that deserved to be so much more. So coming in at number 2, we have To the Abandoned Sacred Beasts. This was one where it was like, the premise sounded stupid, but Studio Mappa was on a roll. They did Banana Fish, which is an anime I love to death. They did Dororo, which was amazing. So I'm like, oh, well, clearly, even though this doesn't sound like much, they'll get it right, because they're on a hot streak, and that hot streak just ended with this. This is a bad anime. Like, oh god, everything from this really cliche sort of revenge monster of the week, edgelord, dumb plot. You have flat, uninteresting characters. You've got animation that is alright, but because, like, the magic system and lore of this show makes zero fucking sense, the action is almost unfollowable and completely uninvestable. Nothing about this show made any sense. And you could make that argument something like Assassin's Pride didn't make any sense. But that show at least tried to kind of be fun with how it made no sense, if what I'm saying makes any sense. With this anime was just bare minimum effort, and like, it was just really bad. It wants a season 2. It's not getting it. So yeah, this was just a sad step for Mappa. So then finally we have number 1. Now, like I said, I missed a lot of the iconically bad stuff, like your Ari Furettas, your Isekai cheat magicians, all this crap. But you cannot convince me that I would have found anything that I would have hated more than Domestic Girlfriend. Some of you are thinking, oh, wasn't this just some trashy teen romance anime? Who cares about this? I kind of wanted to care. Not because I expected to be good. I went into this with zero standards. I was expecting a dumb, stupid, laugh at it sort of anime. Like, I expected cheesy and idiotic. What I got was what I like to call a fake anime. Everything about this anime is fake. Its plot feels fake because it's recycled from other sort of trashy anime. Its characters feel fake because they have zero personality or depth to them at all. Its drama is fake because when you actually think about the drama for more than 10 seconds, it's non-existent. You have this really creepy main character who's like a weirdo stalker almost, who just whines and cries all the time. He's like, finds out, oh no, I'm sleeping with my stepsister, except I didn't know you until after we became step-siblings, because, like, freaking sitcom plot style. And, like, they're just like, oh, all the drama. There is no fucking drama. He's in love with his teacher, who's also really fucking annoying, and just everything about this anime was bad. There is not one redeeming quality to it, besides like a scene where you see a hot anime chick touching herself. But, you know, we have hentai for that. So, yeah, there's no way you can convince me I would have found something that pissed me off more this year. Or maybe you can. In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on your worst anime of the year, the stuff you didn't like. And if you disagree with any of my picks, that's totally fine. It's all subjective, and we all have our own opinion, which you can tell me below. But don't worry, we will end 2019 anime off with a positive note, because next we will be doing the top 10 best anime, a list that I am looking much more forward to talking to. So stay tuned for that, and as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me for more trash as the year is coming.